Hello, everybody! Welcome to our live stream today. Today we have a very exciting show for you because this is the accumulation of weeks of hard work to really figure this thing out. And I'm so happy I get a chance to share with you because this is the continuation of something we started in 2020, which was how do you make a free blog hosted from, a tool like Netlify, and make it so that it can run blogs or serve blogs from your Notion databases. It's something that I've been really passionate about because it really helps anybody, really anybody, start putting themselves out there online and ensure that they don't really need any fancy, setup to get started. All you need is existing tools and then a way to serve it up. And if you want, add some custom styling to make it really beautiful just the way you like it. So it's obviously been a few years since we had that built. So we really wanted to make sure that that is really updated so that you can even take advantage of the latest API improvements from Notion, the official API, because the one before was using the unofficial version plugins and things may have broken till now. So today we're going to show you two approaches. The first approach is how do you upgrade an existing site that you've already built in Gatsby, right? And if you were following our guides from 2 years ago, it was Gatsby version 2, now it's version 4. So how do you upgrade easily from those two versions? And then the next thing you're going to want to also learn is how do you take any random Gatsby sites, any starter, because they have a lot of starter templates for you to start with. How do you turn those into one that is powered by Notion as a CMS, as a content management system? So without further ado, let's get straight into it and let's show you what this is all about. So coming into here, you can see that usually when we start with any build, as always, we like to go the why, what, and hows. So why is that you might want a lightweight and cheap CMS, and to be very honest, you're probably drafting your content in Notion anyways. But with your own personal touch and unique, you want to express yourself, and having control over the styling is important to you. If styling is not so important to you and you really like how Notion looks, I had a live stream just last week where I showed you how to use JS, Nuxt 3, and use that instead to be able to serve Notion exactly as it is, right? So it looks like exactly like Notion, and be able to have your website look and feel like Notion, but have your own custom domain. That is perfectly okay as well. But if you want to get a bit deeper into it, if you want to have really fast loading times, if you want to have your own custom styling, this is where you want to be. So I can show you exactly how you can use Gatsby to make a static site with Notion. So what we're going to use today, the two technologies, GatsbyJS, Notion API, and we're also going to be using something called Vercel to publish our sites. Again, you can use anything you want. In the past, I talked about Netlify, but really the free tier on Vercel has been so good to me, and I really want to express and share that with you guys because I think it's quite useful, and hopefully you guys can learn something from this process as well. What we're going to do today, as I mentioned, we're going to upgrade your existing GatsbyJS site to version 4 so you can use the Notion API, or we can take we can take a brand new GatsbyJS starter sites and integrate it with the Notion API. And to get started, let me first talk about my journey doing this, because like I said at the beginning of the stream, it took me a few weeks to get here, and I wanted to tell you why. So again, around 2020, I created the site for my own. It was based on a starter that was also on the Gatsby starter library, and I built a site that looks really, really nice, right? It has everything I wanted. It had sections for me to put, my projects that I'm working on. I can talk about me, who I am as a person and why am I here. I can have, my writing as well, which shows all my writing. But the issue came when the official Notion API came out, and obviously all the plugins that were, utilizing the old API, the unofficial one, didn't work anymore. And obviously we knew that it was very experimental before, right? That's this whole integration, before they even announced they had an API, we already had this. So we were expecting changes to happen. But the frustrating thing is, someone who doesn't have a lot of coding experience, and honestly, a few years ago, I really did not have any, right, if at all. Now I have a bit more. Really, my passion is more about, using low-code tools and no-code tools to really, string together something fantastic that we can use. But for someone like myself at the time, it was very daunting to really figure out like, okay, well, how do we then upgrade this to utilize the latest versions? How do we then bridge on other people's work so that we can, hopefully work together with them and ensure that we have something, really, really nice for us to leverage and use in our existing site. So for like a year, I couldn't upgrade my website, and I just didn't have the impetus to, right? Because any new blogs I wanted to push, I would push onto the CodeXtrude website anyways. And, unless I had something really, really personal to myself, I didn't have a very, very strong push to come back and redeploy my sites and make sure it worked. Again, I was very, very okay with how the site was at the moment, and I just, left it at that and moved on. But now came, a month ago, and I really wanted to publish my reflection, because every single year I will publish a reflection about my year in review. And I realized that I couldn't do that on my website anymore because it was outdated. Well, then, I spent a week or two really trying to figure out exactly what needed to be done to upgrade my site, because I was on the version 2 Gatsby site. And you can see that version 2 Gatsby site has a lot of notes on how to upgrade and, what changed and what's breaking changes and all that. Again, we'll talk about all this when we actually go through the upgrade changes for the other starter that I created back then. But then not only did I go from version 2 to version 3, I also go all the way to version 4, right? And I was like, wow, maybe there's a lot to change there as well. Thankfully, it was a lot less painless than I imagined. So I really want to give you guys the reassurance that it's very, very easy. And even through this process, I learned so much about the tool that I was able to improve it in so many meaningful ways, right? By understanding more about specifically what goes on behind the hood, ideally you can create really custom experiences that make it really, really nice for you to, be able to create what you want to create and see like, really, really cool integrations and interactions together with the site that you want, the site of your dreams, as it will. Okay, so let's get started. And to get started, I'm going to be using the old starter that I showed you guys, like the example that I made, 2 years ago. That really helped me showcase the power of how this integration can work. And I used just a random starter at the time as well. And I'm going to now load that starter into my personal, into my repositories, and then start upgrading that one from scratch to really show you the process that I went through to upgrade. And of course, as we go through, we might find a lot of things may not work as we expected to. That's totally fine. I want to show you, exactly how we can work through that and learn from that experience. And that's really, really nice. Okay, so this is something that we've created. This is the starter for Gatsby version 2, right? So we're going to start this. So we want to do Gatsby new starter Strata Notion and then do this, right? So we're going to copy that, this piece of code. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to our Visual Studio Code now. We're going to open up our terminal, right? And then we're first going to go into our repos. So cd repos, because this will get us into our repos folder. Again, if you don't have one, that's fine. Just make one if you want to. Otherwise, we'll just deposit it into your, your root directory, which is users/your name. I'm going to copy and paste this. You can also copy and paste by right-clicking on here. And also, I'm going to make this a bit bigger because I've gotten some feedback last time that it's not big enough. So you guys can read this and you guys can see exactly what's going on. So Gatsby new Gatsby Starter Notion. I'm gonna also make sure that inside my repositories, I don't already have something like this. So let's go ahead and go to my repos. So I don't have something like that. That's great. So let's go ahead and run this. So we're gonna hit run. And then now it's going to load all of those things into that directory. And in the meantime, I'll kind of talk about like what the procedure is for this whole process. Essentially, what we really want to do is to make sure that we can migrate successfully from version 2 to 3, then 3 to 4. You could also jump straight to it. If you just go npm install Gatsby latest, that's totally fine as well. But what's important for you is also making sure that we have, our related packages being really upgraded as well. So what we want to do initially is to really go ahead and see what's outdated, what's not, and what can we essentially, make do without. Because there's going to be some dependencies that your project may have that may break. Obviously, I don't know the full extent of how your project looks like. You may have taken a totally different start than I have. You may have had a totally different process. But ideally, this stream should be giving you the confidence that upgrading is easier than you think. And even if it doesn't work out, it's okay because you can just start again from scratch, in the sense that you can start again by re-downloading the repository, retrying it, or if all else fails, start with a new starter if you really find it too complicated to do. But really, my experience has told me that it's easier than you think and you don't really have to worry too much about it. So I will show you the process of how I kind of just went through this whole thing. So it's still loading now. We're gonna give it a few more minutes. Again, if if your website is a bit bigger than meaning that you have a lot of different customizations, it might take longer. So it's totally okay. Just give it a while. It could be between 3 to 5 minutes. So we'll kind of see how that one goes. Again, let's go back to here while we're waiting, and let's talk a bit more about how upgrading works in Gatsby. So basically, you have your core Gatsby project that needs to be upgraded, right? Gatsby latest. This basically gives you your different Gatsby version, and then later on, you're going to have all the different Gatsby related packages, right? So Gatsby plugins, anything that with Gatsby name is something that we'll have to upgrade as well. So definitely make sure you do that. Also, any plugins that don't work anymore will also need to be upgraded. So for example, previously we were using the Notion, the unofficial Notion integration. So let me show you, see if I can find that. I'm just gonna open it like this, and I'm gonna show you. Let's see. Yeah, so I was using this specific plugin that I forked from someone called Mine now, but of course that's outdated now. So all I did was I was like, okay, well, Gatsby plugins, and then I went to their plugin library, which has so many, right, 2,500, and I put Notion, and I said, what's the top one, right? Oh, well, this one. This one's a Notion. This one's the top one. So obviously it's a work in progress as well. I will talk about all the different nuances that you might have with this specific plugin, but really it works really well for me because, like you see, I already have everything that I need on this blog site. It loads really well. I can have my tags, everything looks good, and every single block loads just fantastically. All the pages and all the images. There are going to be some blocks that are unsupported right now from Notion for this plugin specifically. I expect that to improve over time. But in the meantime, if certain blocks are not working, like callouts and whatnot, then you should just avoid using those blocks in your Notion page for now. Again, it's just callouts, I think, that are the main problem right now in embeds, like video embeds and stuff like that. Perfect. So let's see if this works. This looks like it's interesting. Even building it is having issues. Let's see what's going on here. Async cache no longer depreciated, blah, blah, blah. Oh, very interesting. I'm not even able to load in this at the first place. Wow, that's really interesting. Okay. Well, I didn't have this problem with my original. So maybe this is what I'll do. I will show you how my original site looked like, because I have a version of the site that yeah, but this is very interesting that this doesn't work. Very, very interesting. Okay, cool. It's okay. Let me go ahead and show you how, because I still have in my version, my repositories rather, that I have. Yeah, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of issues with this. Okay, I think what I will do for you guys is I have a version of my starter website that is on my version 2. And then I'm actually going to take this version and then upgrade it to version 4 with you guys to show you how that works, so that at least I can show you the process of how I upgraded my own site. And then that should give you some feedback on how this works for you. So I think that's the better step to go with then. So let me go ahead and duplicate this. So I'm going to get this code, and then I will just do this. So instead of new this, so So new Gatsby V2 to V4 to V4. So I'm going to show you how I turned my site from version 2 to version 4. And yeah, let's see how this one works. So let's go ahead and make sure that we go back. In the meantime, we can also look into our different things that we want to do with the site. So one thing that's really important is, especially knowing that there's a new plugin, what can you do with the plugin and what can't you do, and really figure that out, right? So basically right now this new plugin gives you color, right? So you can get color in terms of your block styling, you can get code, you can get underline, you can get strike throughs, you can get italics, you can get bolds. One thing I have noticed is if you add bolds and italics together and underlines together, they start like behaving very funnily. So it might not be as good if you have like very complicated styling. But basically, the process is really quite easy. You just go create your iteration. I showed you that last time as well in the last live stream. You're able to add that information to your Gatsby config, and then you can just query for your nodes, and you already get the information almost immediately. So I will show you how to do all this because I think it's really, really fun, really, really easy. Obviously easy now that I've already went through this process in such a significant way. But I do want to show you basically how we jump from version 2 all the way to version 4, right? And, you know, showing you that it's pretty easy and easier than you think. So let's see. Again, you'll see a lot of warnings when you do something like this, when you're installing a very old project into your local, but fear not, as long as there's no errors, then it should be all good. So we're gonna let this load for a little bit more, and then I will show you exactly how we upgrade our blog over to the version 4. And ideally, we can do this within the next, yeah, let's see, next 10 minutes, right? Hopefully that's something we can do. Cool. So it does work. Now it's good. Now I'm going to go into this folder, cd Gatsby. Oh, actually, I think I like better going through the UI. So I just feel that haptic feedback. Open folder, repos, and then we're going to go to our Gatsby version 2 to version 4. So we've opened that up. And then now what we can do, we can see what's outdated, right? So npm outdated, and see what's outdated here. It's going to show me a lot of stuff is outdated. You can see everything is outdated here, right? So what we really need to do now is to make sure that everything is updated properly. So again, if you're following previous examples, you may have already gotten a the node file here, sorry, Gatsby config file. And the first thing you want to do is comment out this old Gatsby source notion database because it won't work anymore. It definitely won't work, and we can just get rid of it. Even commenting out is a bit much. You can just get rid of it if you want to. I only commented to show you what was there before, and again, some shorthands to comment is Control or Command K, and then Command C after that, or Control C after that gives you the commenting out function. So that's great. That's commented out. We're going to save that. The next thing we want to do is we want to get Gatsby updated. But also in the meantime, because we know that this information won't be pulled in properly, we're going to go to our Gatsby node, which is where we're creating all these pages from our blog posts. And then we're going to just comment this out as well. We're going to use it again later in a second, but we're going to comment this out so that we can get rid of this blog post page so that it doesn't scream errors at us when we are trying to deploy it and test it out. So we took out blog post down here as well, so it doesn't return that. And then now comes the time when all of the ones everywhere that has been referencing, referencing all posts needs to be commented out because it will not work. So everything that has all posts, comments out. Everything that has all posts, Control A, select everything, comment out. Everything that all posts, comment out. And then everything of all posts, comment out. Everything of all posts, comment out. And everything of all posts, comment out. Let's save everything, and then we can already show you that ideally this should already load. So when we take out the problematic plugins, the website should already be loading. So let's see, right? npm install. Let's just npm install so everything, gets updated if it needs to get updated. And then that shouldn't take too long at all. And then right after this, we're going to deploy a version in the sense that we're going to do Gatsby develop. So we can just see immediately that it actually does work once we comment out all the problematic bits that needs to be updated in order to work. And again, the reason why we're updating this is because, again, we're going to use Gatsby develop. The reason why we're updating this is because we want to use the latest version of the Notion API, which right now has a plugin that requires Gatsby 4. So that's why we're doing this. Yeah, but again, I'm just showing you the process of how I did it. This is a lot smoother than when I had to figure out slowly but slowly, but hopefully this gives you, a little bit of understanding, like the steps you might do, because yeah, it's easier than you think, and I'm very pleased to know that it was such an easy process, really. So this step may take a little bit more time, but in the meantime, I will teach you guys the syntax of how to upgrade something. Basically, what we want to do, again, going back to here, is we see that all we have to do is do at latest whenever we want the latest version of anything. Of course, if you want a specific version, you do at that version, right? But basically, we're just going to run this for every Gatsby related package, plus any packages that have dependencies on those packages. So yeah, should be pretty simple and pretty painless. So right now we're loading the website. Looks like it's loaded already. So I'm going to open a new window, and then I'm going to go ahead and go into 8000. And you can see everything works, right? Obviously, except for the writing pages. That won't work because that page is nothing right now. So let me refresh and show you that there's nothing there. And then what we want to do now is just make sure that because we know that the page actually runs, now we just need to figure out the problematic bits. So really cool. So let's close this for a second, right? Because we don't need this right now. We're going to do Control Command C to close the terminal, to close the close this development server. And then now what we can do is we can start upgrading everything, right? So let's go into our dependencies, npm install Gatsby latest. Let's run that, because right now if we go to our config, we can see, sorry, not config, if we go to our package lock, Gatsby is version 2.19 right now, okay? So let's do npm install Gatsby latest. It's going to install the latest version there. And then it's going to go ahead and complain about a lot of stuff. Again, as long as it's complaining, it's fine. If it actually has a problem, it'll error me out. So that's okay. In the meantime, remember to drink some water, stay hydrated. Perfect. This one may take a little bit because again, it's installing a whole new, whole two versions. I'm jumping two versions because I know it already does work. So I have some prior knowledge. Again, this is how I did it also. Back then, I didn't realize I was jumping two versions when I did latest. I honestly thought it was only version 3, but we had version 4 that was updated as well. But because I know that we're jumping two versions, I can show you how that process works as well. So that will be pretty fun. Ideally right now what we can do is we can just wait for it. Again, get some water, walk away for a bit, come back. But you can see that all these Gatsby plugins, so you see every single one of these will need to be updated, all right? So every single of these plugins will need to be updated. So just make sure you go ahead and do that once this is done. Also, because I know that there is additional things that need to be upgraded, I know that certain styled components and certain things here would need to be upgraded as well. So definitely we're going to show you how to do that, but we're going to also show you how to read those error message to understand what you need to do next. Because I think that's much more important than me telling you like, hey, upgrade this, upgrade this, upgrade this. Because again, everything that I'm doing may be very different on your machine. It may be different in the sense that you might be using a different starter, you might be using different technologies in the form of plugins. You might be doing other things that I don't do, right? So I want to give you the mental models of how do you figure out the specific things that I've done and why I did them so that you can figure out how to do them for yourself as well. So right now, again, the step is quite clear. I'm upgrading the core Gatsby project. It's a version 2.19.43 right now. The little, I guess the hi-hat symbol just lets you know that you're maintaining at a certain version. And usually when you do npm install, it doesn't update this because you've already specified a special version for this. And now we're overriding that version by doing the npm install Gatsby at latest. So that will install the latest version, which is presumably the version 4, right? So yeah, so everything should look good here. We're just gonna let it run and we're getting close. You can see the progress bar is just about there. So pretty happy about that. So we can see exactly how that one works. So give it a few more minutes, and then we're gonna see that we're gonna need to upgrade the rest of the stuff. Again, I'm gonna prepare this. What they want us to upgrade is anything to do with Gatsby related. So we're gonna run npm updated, and then anything with Gatsby, we're gonna run the install. Okay, and then after we run the install, we're gonna realize some additional errors that are gonna pop up, and that's totally fine. Perfect. So npm outdated, let's run that. And then we're going to see a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to open this up like this. Perfect. So all of these need to be updated. So I think the easiest way, I'm going to go ahead and just copy everything with Gatsby in it. So Gatsby Cypress. So npm install Gatsby Cypress at latest. And then Gatsby image at latest. And then again, all of these. So maybe I would just, no, I can't do that. Okay. So at latest, and then Google Analytics at latest. And then I don't use this MailChimp one anymore, but I'll update it anyway. But I really don't use this one anymore at latest. And then Magnifest at latest. Material UI at latest. Netlify at latest. Offline at latest. React helmet. So when you do this, there might be breaking changes, right? When you do this update. So it's actually very prudent to go into the GitHub repository of whatever you're trying to update and make sure that there's nothing that really breaks when you do this. Again, I have the experience of going through this process already, so I kind of know what doesn't break, which is everything. So I'm very happy that it was so simple for me. But your experience, your mileage may vary basically in this. So just be warned that doing this may not always just be like, oh, easy, and then dust yourself off and it works. But at least it's the first step to getting there. So I do want to give you that reassurance. So at latest. And ideally, if you keep your stuff updated like often, you don't have to run through this problem again with like me, right? Because I didn't keep updated until now. So sharp and YAML and latest. Okay, let's see what happens. I'm pretty sure there'll be some things that throw up an error because they're like, oh, we have dependencies that are trying to update here, and it's not as easy as the other one is. Okay, perfect. So dependency tree. This one is the Instagram one. Honestly, I don't need to do Instagram, so I'm just going to go ahead and uninstall Instagram. So again, you can decide like what's causing you pain and just get rid of that. So I don't need Instagram because I know I'm not loading Instagram blogs posts anyways. So I'm getting rid of Instagram. I'm going to enter that. Let's see what happens. Okay, cool. Looks like that's kind of working. So I'm gonna lower this for a second. And then in the meantime, because I removed Instagram, I will also remove it from here. By the way, I'll also get rid of this MailChimp one because I don't use MailChimp anymore for anything. I will also remove Instagram. So let's go ahead and do this. So you can see the process is I find out what I don't need, and especially what's giving me errors, and I just get rid of it. Simple as that. Perfect. And then again, the errors are important to read, just to figure out if there's anything that you might have to do additionally. I will show you an example of that really soon, because I'm very certain there's going to be one of these packages that need to be updated, that don't have Gatsby in the name, but because they have dependencies, we'll probably have to update that. Perfect. So it looks like we've updated successfully. So let's see what happens, okay? That's what it looks like, but we want to make sure that that's the case. So let's do an npm install just to see what happens. Okay, npm install has a issue. So actually, let's just remove first the Instagram. So npm remove, uninstall, or remove I think works. Gatsby source Instagram. Okay. So I think we should be able to get rid of it, which is good. Very cool. Okay, so npm install, let's see what happens. Everything should be really fine because nothing needs updating. That's great. So now we go ahead and we run Gatsby develop. Let's see what happens here. I do expect one thing to break. Yep. Let's see. Okay, that's fine. Page data. Okay, I understand what that is. Gatsby plugin material UI. That's also throwing up errors. Okay, so this will be an interesting one. I'm almost certain there's something to change here. Perfect, let it load, let it finish. So I'll tell you at which step when we go through this process that specifically anybody who is running any kind of Gatsby site can start following, especially as their version is version 3 or beyond. Right now, we're still showing the process of updating a site to get to version 3 or version 4. Again, you can see the process. It's generally just changing things to latest, then seeing if there's any errors. If there's errors, remove the error, like the problems, and then start again. So it's actually pretty simple in that sense. So I do want to show you guys like this whole process because I think it's very valuable to learn, and I've done a lot to figure this out for myself. And if I had someone to watch like this, I think I would have a lot less grief. So hopefully giving you some feedback there. Okay, what happened? I got an interesting error here. I do think the error is more in this React plugin material UI. So let's go ahead and see exactly what should look like there. Again, this is something that I believe I've done before, but I can just double check as well. So let's go ahead and duplicate this. So I can go ahead and search this. So let's do this installation. This is at next. Let me just double check. I think I used the, let me just double check my own file for a second because I want to make sure that I did this thing right. So I'm just gonna double check this and see what I did for my config file. But I do remember going through this process, and I think it was pretty easy how I ended up solving this one. Plugin material AI. Okay, yeah. Very simple. All I did was I commented it out, and then what I did was I did the installation. So npm install that, and then what I do here is I just grab the Gatsby this thing, plugin material UI. Okay, see what's happening here. Gatsby plugin material UI. I have the latest version. Yeah, this should be fine. So let's also add legacy peer dependencies, legacy peer deps, and this should work. I'm also going to double check this on this here because I know there's a different plugin documentation. Yeah, I can also install this one. So I think this one is fine too. Yeah, let's see if the next one works. I'm almost certain that they both will work, but let's just see what happens. So Gatsby develop. Let's see how that one loads. And in the meantime, I will read this a bit more because I'm trying to double check which one I specifically installed in my version as well, because I did do some legwork here before. So npm updated. Okay, no, that fixed everything. Fantastic. Yes, that fixed everything, or it did not. Okay, I think that wasn't the right thing to do. So let's uninstall that. Yeah, let's uninstall that. So let's uninstall this. Oops, I need to do that properly. Uninstall without an S. And then what I'm going to do here, okay, let's do the legacy peer dependencies. Or remove rather, not npm. npm remove. Okay, I believe I used the version then that was Material UI. Yeah, I believe I used the version for that we see here, which is version 4. And then what we can do here, because I believe I did it with Material UI Core. Yeah, so I think I need this installation instead. Let's go ahead and do this one. I believe this one should work then properly. So let's go ahead and run that. And I need to just save this and then this will be good. Okay, let's try this now. So Gatsby develop. And also I realized I didn't save this page, so it might have been because of the unsaved page as well that this is having an issue. So let's go ahead and find this out. But ideally, I think this will work properly, especially because we're able to install that without having the dependency issue. So I'm pretty happy with that already from the fact that that worked so well like that, but we will see. Amazing. It worked without any major hiccups. So I am going to reload my page and I have issues. Let's see. Styled components. Let's see. System valid target. Let's see what's going on. Let me check something in my package.json in my other file as well. So let's go ahead and oh wait, I am using the emotion react. Whoops. Okay, I know my issue. Yeah, so again, you get to try these different things out. It's really interesting in my opinion because you get to figure out what specifically works, what doesn't. So I actually got to remove this again. And this time I will install the latest version, which is this version. And the reason behind that is because I realized that I also do use the latest Gatsby this next and also the emotion react. So I believe once I install this properly, it will work. So let's go ahead and do that one more time. It's probably going to ask me again for the legacy peer dependencies. Let's do that again. Yes. So let's go legacy here deps. Again, when you're updating, you're going to see all these weird kind of errors, and that's totally fine. I want to show you guys that it's okay, you don't have to be worried about them, right? You can see I'm just going through the process. Google it a little bit, figure out what happened, look into your package, lock.json, see what dependencies you have or don't have, and kind of use that as a way to help you move forward with the process, because I think that's, I think that's important to really just figure out the things that you can control in any given situation. So let's try this again. Gatsby develop. Ideally, we want to make sure that we can even launch the page first before we go about trying to integrate Notion. So we've already spent just a little bit of time on this already, but ideally this is a very important step because I want to show you guys like anybody can just upgrade and then we can go ahead and improve it from there. Okay, things look like it's working. So let's go ahead and run it. Okay, cool. Let's see if this works. I am running localhost now. And we are still having issues. What is going on? I'm going to remove all my cookies and just see what happens here. That is very interesting. I'm going to go into here and look at the GraphQL as well. Oops. I will also... Oops, okay, this is right. Basically here is where I look at if the pages are loading at all, and it looks like they are. So let's see what's going on. I do remember solving this as well in the past. So again, it's like small things like this that make you kind of realize that there's here and there's minor things to improve on. But it's very interesting that we have this specific problem. So let me just kind of look into it and see what's going on here so that anybody at home will also realize or also learn how to solve this problem. So let's go ahead here. We have, oh, I think I need to upgrade styled components as well. I think that's the issue. Okay. So I had nothing to do with what I was just trying to do earlier. Let me just cancel this and take a look at my package.json. Yes, I need to update this one. So let's go ahead, because that was what the issue was, right? So npm install. I'm going to just copy and paste this so I don't make a mistake. At latest. Okay, that's what needs to be installed. And then let's, ooh, so many pure dependencies. Amazing. Conflicting pure dependency. That's fine as well. I think, yeah, I'm gonna do a few things, just because I want to make sure this installation goes well. But I'm almost certain that I will need to, so style components is updated. Earlier we did the material UI. I think I need to reinstall the material UI thing. Yeah, so because I mistakenly thought it was that problem, but I'm almost certain that this one has no issue. So remove at next. Okay, it doesn't work because I need to do the legacy peer deps. And then once that's gone, I can go ahead and install this one, because I think this one's the better version. Yes, Floor. It's thanks for a good question. For Nux 3, again, I mentioned this at the beginning of the stream. It is something that is good if you want exactly the same look and feel that you have on Notion to be displayed on your site. If you want that, perfect, no problem. That's like a 10-minute thing. You saw how easy that was. You build it, and 10 minutes later, you already have your version. If instead you want to have a more customized look and feel like I've shown here, so let me go ahead and go to my website, right? This is only possible because I'm using something like GatsbyJS. Of course, you can do it with Nux as well, but there's more to it, right? It's been very hard for me to find a starter on Nux, whereas there's like hundreds of starters on Gatsby that give you like a really cool template. And you can see that I'm able to load all my blogs from Notion, right? Very easily, and it loads very, very well. So it's up to you how you want to do it. Again, I don't particularly want the exact Notion look and feel on my personal site. I want my own custom styling, and that's something that you can do with Gatsby. Again, it's relatively easy. I don't think it's that difficult. It's just that right now I'm going through a process of updating Gatsby, and because I'm updating it, then there's certain things that you need to figure out. But I really enjoy the process of coding my personal site because it gives me a lot to work with. It makes me feel very, a lot of control over what I'm doing in my site. And yeah, I just really enjoy the process. But if you're asking if it's faster, yes, 100%. If you use Nux, immediately you'll be able to get started, but without the look and feel that you might want to customize yourself. Simple as that. Okay, let me give me a second though, because I'm still trying to figure out exactly what is different here that I need to update. It looks like I need to update the material UI core as well. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to still run npm outdated because it looks like there's still a few things that are currently not being updated well enough. So let's see what's going on. Yes, I think I need core to be updated. I think I need styles to be upgraded. And then styled components, I think I also need to update. Styled components. Let's see, styled components. Okay, Babel is updated. Styled components down here. Also needs to be updated. Okay, so there's a few things that still need to be updated. Let's do that. So npm install, again, you're just trying to figure out what exactly is leading you to the errors, and it's almost like you're an investigator, right? You're just trying to figure out what exactly you need to change. So here, let's update this as well. At latest, let's go ahead and grab the style components at latest as well. And then once we get that, I think we should be able to finally get started with the integration with Notion. So hopefully that works. You're very welcome, Flor. So let's go ahead and run this now. Okay, I'm just also comparing a bit more to see what needs to be updated. Again, thankfully, I was able to get my site working. So then that means that your guys' sites should work as well. But yeah, it's not as difficult as it might seem. You just have to go through and like, individually kind of update each item, and yeah, it's not too bad. But again, it's just one time, right? You do it one time and then it'll be a good version for a long time. So ideally, you just make sure that you can get it good and working for that moment. Perfect. So let's look like it built. So please work. Amazing. It works. Yay. So now we have our website up and going. This is a version 4 Gatsby website. This will also work with version 3 Gatsby websites, by the way, for what's coming up next. At this moment, we are going to now show you how you can integrate any starter or any website with the Gatsby plugin for the Notion API. So I will show you the end-to-end process. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to show you. This shouldn't take more than 10 minutes, honestly, because this whole process is the easiest and the most fun part. And again, let me show you exactly how you would do it and kind of walk through what I've learned with the code as well, so you can learn for yourself. Okay, very cool. So let's first get started. We go to Gatsby first, and then this one, we're going to go to our Notion API, and it's going to teach you how to install stuff. Perfect. I'm going to just copy that, and then I'm going to install it. So let's close this development server, install this. Perfect. So it's going to do a Gatsby source Notion API installation. It should be very quick, very painless. Once that's installed, we're going to go into our Notion, and we're going to make sure that we have this integration working. So let's go ahead, and again, we did this last time, but I want to show you one more version of this. Again, I'm just going to refresh this every single time. So all integrations, I am going to go ahead and develop our own integrations here. And then I'm going to do a new integration. This one's going to be associated to home. That's fine. And it's only going to be able to read content. And I'm going to call this one Gatsby website test or demo. Let's call it that. And then we're going to hit submit. We're going to get this integration key. Again, this is something that normally you want to keep very, very secret. For now, I don't really mind because I'm just creating something that's read-only, and I'm doing this for a demo purpose. So we're going to go here. We found everything here. We want to go to our database that we want access to. So we're going to go to writing. I guess it's not immediately there. I will go ahead and just grab it from my other page so that you guys can see it for yourself. Let's go ahead and go to my .env here. Okay, and then the database is this. So let's go ahead and go to notion.so/conradlin/ oh, it's already here, Conrad sharing space. Yep, this is the one. And then what I want to do is I want to use this one. So let's go ahead and view database. I'm going to share the integration with it. Right now, obviously, I have a shared one already, but this is the website demo one that I want to share. So now I should have access to this. And then what I want to do is now I want to go back into the documentation. They say to add this to your Gatsby config. Very simple. So let's go ahead and do that. Where you want to add things to your Gatsby config, I'm just going to add it to the bottom because it's easier for me to keep track of it. After the comma, you're going to add that. And then immediately you have this integration token database ID. Okay, so here's the thing. You don't want this to be in your source code because if at any point you decide to release your source code, people can see everything, right? You don't want that. So the way to go about that is to create environment variables so that you can read from the environment variables instead. So let me teach you this. This is something they won't teach you inside that plugin. So I'm going to do a new file. I'm going to call it .env.development, which means that this is an environment variable. This is where you can put information into here that the code won't see, and only when you run, it's the server will need, obviously. So when we go to Vercel or Netlify or whatever, you can add the development environment variable there. But the main thing is that the code doesn't have this information so that it doesn't get leaked. So we're going to add the Gatsby Notion token, and we're going to add the Gatsby Notion databases. To get the Gatsby Notion token, first thing is we want to go ahead and find our token again. So let's go here. I'm going to copy this. We're going to paste that. Simple as that. Our database is going to be here. I'm going to grab this one, this link, put it there. Simple as that. Now in the config file, what we want to do is we want to add the the link towards the environment variable, right? So all you have to do right now is you just need to add these two things. I'll just copy and paste it because it's easier for me. But process.env dot Gatsby underscore Notion token, process.env dot Gatsby Notion databases. And you see it matches the name of these exactly. So simply just do that and you're golden. Okay, now once we have that information, what we want to do is we want to just double check again our process here. And looks like that's already good. They already, that's pretty much it, honestly. I'm going to install one more thing because I know one more thing is going to be very helpful for us. It's going to be called Gatsby plugin MDX. So I'm going to install that right now. So npm install Gatsby plugin MDX. Again, this is something that they also don't mention in the plugin, but I think this is very, very important. So I recommend this a lot. So once we have that, I will then show you what we've just done because I think it's very, very, very cool. So while it's installing, I'm going to talk to you guys about what specifically we're looking for. So once we load the page, once we load the environment, the development environment, we're going to have an opportunity to really see all the different pages being loaded inside something called GraphQL. When it's loaded in GraphQL, basically it means that any single page can access this information and can serve this information in a meaningful way, whether it's serving the information as a blog or not. So this plugin, all it's doing is taking the information from Notion, right? All those different pages that I have that you saw in the database there, pulling them into this environment and then giving it to me in a way that I can serve it any way that I want. So I will show you exactly how I serve this information to create a simple Notion page, and we'll kind of call it there because I think from here it's really, really easy to kind of just build on what we've already done before and start making the blog post pages, making the blog pages. If you want to make tag pages, like the sky's the limit for you really, and I just want to make sure that you have the tools available for you to do what you need to do. And of course, I'll give you all the code snippets later on as well inside a follow-up article so that you guys can follow along if you so choose to. So we're almost there. Again, I don't expect any big issues from this run. I think this one should be pretty easy. So just make sure this all runs. Successful, amazing. So now we can reload this. It shouldn't have a problem. Amazing. And then the next thing is I want to make sure I run this GraphQL thing. So I will open this up in this window so it's easier for me to see. So GraphQL, what is this? Again, a browser tool for writing, validating, and testing GraphQL queries. So what we have right now is we have all this stuff. I want to show you what each one kind of does, or not each one, but like the ones that are important, what it does for you, so that it's very easy for you to go ahead and leverage this information inside your packages, all right? So what we want to do first is we want to go to all Notion, we want to go to nodes, and then we want to go and see what's in there, okay? So all Notion, sorry, not nodes, edges, node, and then we want to see what's in there. So let's go run this first. You can see all the IDs of all the pages you already have, which is great. Let's go ahead and find information like the child MDX. So let's go child MDX. There's a first property first. I want to see properties. Properties, let's get the name of the blog as an example, or okay. Let's get the child MDX first. I think child MDX is better. But I realized I don't have that because I didn't add it to the config. Whoops. So let me go ahead and grab one more thing before we run this one more time. I want to get the Gatsby plugin MDX. So let's run that here, Gatsby plugin MDX. And let's just do this properly because I like this format instead. So whenever you make changes to this, it's going to ask you to refresh this. I guess not. I'll refresh it manually then. But basically, we want to restart to make the changes to Gatsby config. So let's develop one more time, and then you'll see a little bit difference now that we have that plugin MDX, and you'll see why that's important. Basically, the plugin MDX will convert what you have in your GraphQL query into your specific markdown format. So we want our Notion blocks in markdown format so that we can actually read that Notion file and we can actually be able to process that in a meaningful way. So again, we'll let it load for a second and we'll be able to make sure that that works properly. And then again, from here on out, it's going to be super, super easy for us to do what we need to do. Perfect. We're going to let it load a bit more. And then from there, I will show you how to grab all the information you need to grab in your Gatsby node so that you can kind of see exactly what you can do with this information. And also, I'll talk you through like every single bit of code that I'm doing so that ideally it doesn't get very like lost for you and it becomes really easy for you to kind of follow along and understand it. Okay, perfect. It's loaded. Let's go ahead and run it. So I'm going to refresh. And you can see that here we already have one more thing called child MDX, which is really important, like I mentioned. Because child MDX, you can get ID, you can get front matter, right? Which will give you more information like the URL of the blog, the tag, the name of the blog. So let's just run this, you can see. Oops, properties doesn't need to be there, for example. So let's go ahead and delete both of those. So you can see everything is there. If I want to, I can also even get the name of the blog itself. So let's go ahead and find the name of the blog itself. Title, right? So we can run that and you can see all the titles are out. And then even better, later on, I can even get the details of the blog itself. So child MDX can give me the body as well. So let's read this. It's going to be huge, by the way. It's going to show me all the different markdown format of all the different articles I have, which is great. Again, it's everything I need already to start running the blog. It's super easy. So one thing that I'm going to do here is I want to show you here. You can also do filters. So let's say I want to filter for, I only want to see the ones where the status, right? So property status, and then let's call it the value. It's only published. So I only want the ones that are published. So published. So then you can see the query is here. I'm going to press go, and then I can see only the published articles as well. So super easy, just like that. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you what you can do with this information now that it's loaded here. We can go into our Gatsby node.js right here. And then inside here, you can see that we used to already have something called blog post, which queried, right, your Notion database, sorry, your GraphQL, and then be able to serve that in a meaningful way. I'm actually going to show you, I'm just going to copy and paste what I have already created in my side. And then I'm going to comment out something so that I can show you what specifically you want to focus on. So let's go ahead and just copy and paste this. I'm going to bring this down so you can see exactly what I'm doing. And then for this specific project, I'm also going to make it so that I will hide a few things that don't really matter. So let's go ahead and do this. You don't need tags right now in this at all. And then we can go ahead and remove the tags here as well. You don't really need tags. Actually, okay, let's create the tags pages as well. But I will definitely not do this tags create page at the moment. This doesn't matter right now. So let's go ahead and grab this. So what this is here, this is here. So this whole thing can just hide for now. We don't need to make tag pages. I do think it's important to make this blog page. So let's go ahead and make this blog page. So I'm going to go ahead and close the server, save this. I'm going to close everything else because it doesn't matter right now. except for blog post page, I'm going to uncomment everything, right? It's very important. I'm going to uncomment everything. And then right now, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to make it very simple. I'm only going to grab the query, right, that is only for generating the blog post. So I know that we have this other query down here. We're going to ignore that for a second because it doesn't really matter for us. And we're also going to change up this query to be able to grab the post information. I'm going to jump a few steps here just to show you how it kind of looks because I've already done this, but I want to show you exactly what it's doing. So you can see that I'm doing a few queries. The first query I'm doing is I'm doing a query where the ID of the string, I'm looking for the ID. So the Gatsby node is passing a context to that page when it's creating it. So right now it's creating a page using this template, blogpost.tsx, which is this blogpost.tsx. And then what we can do is we can pass information over. So we're going to pass the ID over so that we can use this ID to search the MDX for a specific page and find the body of it. Again, the body is what's going to be important for us to display out. So this is going to be very important. This thing down here, we're going to ignore this for now because I think this is going to confuse you more than anything and doesn't really matter in my opinion. But if you really want to know what it does, basically it is simply the way to grab the additional blogs that you might want to read. Like, you know, at the end of the blogs where you have something like, let me just show you. You have something like, you know, read more. Yeah, this is only to grab that. Again, doesn't really matter for me right now. So I'm just going to comment it out. So I just want to make sure I'm commenting out the right thing. I think it's from here. Yeah, I think it's from there. Or we can just pull it. It doesn't really matter. We're not going to use it anyway. Okay, so we pulled this information, but then what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are adding this into our page to actually get the information. So the easiest way for us to do that right now, I will just show you the easiest way. So right now we have in here the data. So it looks like we need some page context. The first thing we want to do is update the page props if you have any. Again, there are many good plugins for this. You don't have to do it manually, but I do it manually where I know there's data, then there's MDX, there's front matter, and so on and so forth. Again, you can get all this information from your GraphQL query, right? So again, you know, instead, if you didn't go to all Notion instead, and let's just say I clear this out, right? And instead I went to, you know, MDX, right? And then I looked for one specific ID, like I showed you earlier. Okay, let's just delete all this. Yeah, I showed you one specific ID. And then on top of that, then I'm getting the front matter, and then I'm getting the details and all those different things. You can see it's exactly the same format in here, and we're just copying and pasting from that basically. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we want to get page context as well. Page context, data, and then instead of posts, we want MDX. And instead of all posts, we want all Notion. Again, you might not have something like this already, but I just want to show you that this is how you pull this information. And then what we want to do now is there's going to be so everything that used to have posts is now MDX, and not just MDX, but we want to make sure that it has everything. So MDX front matter URL. So you see MDX front matter URL. So you see just like that, right? Quite simple. Again, the next thing is also MDX front matter URL. So let's do it like this as well. And then we have MDX front matter title. So let's go ahead and do title. And then our cover image. So we're going to just grab it from our page context because again, in our node, we passed on the file URL already. So all we have to do is just take that information. So we can just delete this and add that instead. And of course, if we want to add tags here, we can also get that. That's for later if we want to add that information. Okay, anything with post again becomes mdx.frontmatter. So I'm just going to grab this and then mdx.frontmatter.color. And then here, same here as well. Same here as well. Same here as well. And cover image URL is fine. It loads from there. Cover image URL looks good. Alt is mdx.frontmatter.title, right? Same thing here. Post.tags. So here is a bit different. The category style, I think you can do it this way. For tags rather, the way that I like to do it is just mdx front matter tags name, because it's already kind of made into one. So let's go ahead and grab this tags name, and then front matter title. So again, mdx front matter title. I'll do all this and make sure everything is good. Again, you gotta make sure that the information is proper. So this is just the publish state start. Again, you can follow publish state start. Again, just follow your GraphQL query and nothing will go wrong. And then what we have here, instead of this, we're going to do, so this is important now, we're going to do markdown wrapper and then mdx wrapper. So right here, instead of that, we're going to do this. Why do we do markdown wrapper? Let me explain that for a second. Markdown wrapper is basically a styled component that we can add that basically helps us control the Notion information that's coming in. So for example, if we want images to only take up the full size of the screen and we don't want it to take up the entire size of the screen, we can use markdown wrapper to help us do that. So that's something that's important for you to know. And then what we can do here, front matter, body, everything seems like it's working. Now the last thing is at the bottom. I'm also going to just change this really quickly. So instead of all post.nodes, right, we have all notion.map. Again, this is something that I have specifically because I have something called post item, which I'll open up and show you guys, that's able to take the information and make a really meaningful card out of that. So I will show you how that one works as well. Again, what you basically need to know is just simply that you have the blog information already, and then now you're just serving it in a meaningful way. Honestly, we could have stopped already at just the mdx renderer, right? So perfect. So we have this already. Again, I will show you once we have it on the development server how this really works. But I think it's just really meaningful in the sense that it's really easy for us to kind of process this information and then just serve it up. And then I think after this bit, I will just update the blog page as well. And then once I update the blog page, I think we'll just move forward and show you how to publish it online. So while that's loading, I'm going to go to the blog page and update it as well. Again, you just want to make sure that the query is correct, right? Especially when you have all those different information. I will skip a few steps here because I've already done it. So I'm just going to paste it in here and skip a few steps. Same thing with my tags page. So tags page, I'll skip a few steps. So let's go ahead and go to my tags page. Skip a few steps. Again, I'm not saving it because the deployment hasn't gone through, but I want to show you guys, like, again, it's the same thing. I query all Notion, I get the information I need, and then I serve it into my pages in a meaningful way so I can see it published out. So nice. The page looks like it's done. So I'm going to go here and I'll run this. And then now what will happen is if I just put any random thing, so I get to the 404 page, you can see all those different posts are published out. So let's go ahead and open any single page. Let's see if it loads well. It's saying that markdown wrap mdx render is not defined. That's easy to solve. That's because we didn't put it up here, right, in mdx renderer. So let's go ahead and grab that. So at the top here, we need something, import mdx renderer from Gatsby plugin mdx. We save that. And then now, if I just refresh this, oops, wrong place. Blog post. So let's put it in blog post right here. Okay, and then now what we can do is we can refresh this. Body is not defined. So let's see why. Body. Okay, so what I have here is after images, we should be adding something here. So I have one more definition. So body is mdx.body. So that's also important. So it's not just as simple as that. And then what we do is we refresh. And then we have everything loaded. Amazing. We can see it's super simple in that sense. We're able to load this properly. Everything loads well, even the latest sharing loads well. And if I go to writing, you can see that all my other blogs load as well because I've copied the code over. And again, the code is very simple because if you can see the code that I have inside here. So inside, let's say the blog post down here. So I just copy this whole section and I show you this. So this all Notion. So query, I'll just take this, put this all Notion, and it loads. Sorry, this ID doesn't match anything, obviously, but let's say we give an ID does not equals to test. Name includes growth, as an example. You can see it'll load the things that are working. Let's see, element match. Oh, it does match rather. Whoops. Okay. So I think we just do growth. Reflections. Okay, wait. Let me do something simpler because all these need some specific ID. Actually, okay, it's fine. I'll just take away the query, the bump part. But again, because I made it dynamic, that's the only issue here. So does not equal to test. Oops. And then let's take away the tags match. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's about it. Yeah, you can see it loads stuff as you will. So yeah, anyway, just wanted to show you this process because I think it's quite easy to then pull things in from your GraphQL. Again, the hardest thing is just getting into GraphQL, and then from GraphQL, you can just serve it anywhere you want. It's really relatively simple. And then what you can do is you can even serve that in a meaningful way. So again, if you query, like for example, on the blog page, right, all Notion, and then you just query for everything that's published. So let's go ahead here and just query for everything that's published. You can see that's in a file. That means we have one less close bracket. So you can see that these are all the different blogs that we have as published, right? And then that's all being served into the page for writing here. So you can see if I open writing, this has everything that's served properly. So simple as that. So some caveats, right? When you are loading the pages from Notion, like how I've just done now, these images will expire. So every time you build, right now I'm testing with a build time of every 2 hours. You need to really set an automation to build it every 2 hours. Otherwise the images may actually get lost. Again, because I have automation tools like Zapier or NAN or anything that you might be using, it's actually really easy to keep these up to date. So for me personally, I just do a build hook from Vercel, and then from Vercel, I'm able to then pull the build and be able to go ahead and publish it every 2 hours. I will show you how to do that as well a little bit, but let me just show you now my whole process of doing the deployment. So basically all you have to do now when you go and do deployments is you go to Vercel. I really enjoy using Vercel because Vercel is, whoops, this is the wrong project, but because Vercel gives you a lot of power when you do your projects. All you have to do is just do a new project, and then you go ahead and find your repository. Again, if you're missing a Git repository, you just adjust the permissions, you load it in. Something really important is after you load it in, you have a lot of different steps to go through in order to make sure that the production deployment is proper. So actually, let me show you guys that step because I think that's important. So let's go ahead with new projects, and then we go ahead with adjust our app permissions. We're going to go ahead and go to Connor Lin. Oh, one thing too is that we have to publish this. So let's go ahead and publish this. So when we go ahead and go here, we can publish this Gatsby site. Now that we've updated everything, everything's clean. And we want to make sure that it all works on production, right? One thing that it's going to complain about, so before I publish a production, I'm going to do a Gatsby build so that I can understand how it serves in a production environment. And one thing that I'm already going to know is that I need to duplicate this. So actually, let's cancel this. I'm going to have to duplicate this. So let's see. I'm going to paste this. Can I paste this easily? Okay, just Control B. And then I'm going to rename this to end.production because this is the keys for production. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and find this one page, which I believe is going to error me out. Oh, it should be fine. Okay, all these are commented out anyway. the Gatsby build. And then when we do Gatsby build, basically it gives us the opportunity to compile these files and see it served in a production environment. So then right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new branch. I'm going to create a new branch. We're going to say version 4 upgrade, version 4 upgrade demo. So now that I have this new branch, I can commit it into it. So we're going to say update dependencies, and we're going to do this for Gatsby, Node.js, package.json, dependency to version 4. And then everything else is just integrating Notion API, official API. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, it is complaining about the co3 page, and that's just because it's loading information here that needs a GraphQL query. Again, I don't think it needs that, but let's just add it here. So what we just need is a GraphQL query at the top. So we just say import GraphQL. Simple as that. And then now what we can do is do another Gatsby build. And then it will work very easily, I believe. Perfect. So it's going to build. And in the meantime, because I already have the latest version published onto the Git repository, and again, let me just make sure updates imports. So that's now published. So publish branch. I'm going to publish it to, it's going to be a private repository. I think that's fine. But how do I publish branch to a specific place? I don't want to make it a new repository. I guess actually it's fine. It's not a big deal. Yeah, so just for this example, I'll publish it to a private repository, a whole new repository that is. Perfect. Let's open this on GitHub to make sure that it's all loaded. Looks good. It's a new repository. So now what I need to do on Vercel is just adjust my permissions, give it access to this new repository. So again, I will just grab my password, GitHub, and then I'm just gonna grab my password right here. Perfect. Let's not do that. Yeah, that's fine. I will also add one more repository for what I just did, which is version 4, I believe. Yeah, version 2 to version 4. Let's save this. Okay, so now let's import this. So you can see that it's a GatsbyJS file. That's fine. We're going to add environment variables here. So this is where you're going to add the environment variables you just created. Oh, there's another error. Let's see. For success page. Okay, so let's go grab that success page as well. So success page. Let's just update that. I think it's going to have the same problems for all the 404 pages as well. So I'm just going to grab the latest code for that. Again, this is just for me to show you that it all works. These are all extra amendments to the pages anyways. But I do want to at least give you an understanding that, you know, it works as intended. So subscribe page, and then we have, yeah, that's it. I think those are all the pages. So let's do, again, another Gatsby build. Update miscellaneous pages. Let's go ahead and load that. Sync it as well to the GitHub repository. And then in the meantime, now I'm going to add environment variables. So let's go ahead and find my environment variables. Gatsby Notion token gets added here. The value of this, by the way, all this stuff gets encrypted, so that's really nice. I'm gonna add that. Gatsby Notion databases goes here, and then this thing goes here as well. We add that, and then we can deploy, I believe. Once we make sure everything else works here. So we let it load. Yeah, awesome. This stream ended up taking a bit longer than I wanted to, but hopefully this includes all the information you ever need to know if you wanted to build your own custom integration between Gatsby and Notion. Yeah. So it looks like things are working relatively well. I'm crossing my fingers. Everything should work. And then we can do our deployments. Oh, it looks like it does work. Amazing. Okay, so now we can do just over here Gatsby serve. just so that we can see it on our local, just to see what happens here. So localhost 9000 is now where we want to go. So 9000. Yeah, looks great. Looks loaded. Again, this is different from my current live site because I've done a lot of improvements since then. But you can see that everything does look good, and yeah, looks great. I will now go ahead and load that. So I will just close this server. Now that I have everything working, I will just go ahead and do a deploy. Okay, so it's deploying now. And then when it's deploying, now I want to show you guys some interesting things that we can do with this. So let's go ahead with, go back to my account. I have my, this one. So what we can do here is we can do settings. So it's building right now. We're gonna let that build. But in the meantime, what we can do is we can add a lot of information like domains, right? If we want to add our own custom domain, we just simply need to go here, do the DNS, and it works almost immediately. Again, all in the free tier. Everything that I'm sharing today is completely free because I want you to make sure that you have the power to host and build your website even if you are on a budget, right? You don't need any fancy paid tools to get it all working. And you can even learn a bit about coding while you're at it, right? So I think it's very, very nice. You can also do things like, I believe it's under integrations. No, it's under Git. Yeah, so you can create deploy hooks, right? So let me show you what this does. Basically, deploy hooks help you deploy your site whenever you want. Like I said, the caveat for your website is that every few hours, Notion will invalidate the links for your specific images, and you will have to get the new link again. The best way that I've found to get the new link is just to rebuild the sites, and rebuilding the sites on Vercel is free, up to 100 rebuilds every single month. Again, even if you rebuild every single, every single hour, I don't think you'll get to, or every single hour will probably get you there, but every 2 hours, every 3 hours, like you can budget it yourself. But then if you do it in that kind of sequence, you won't ever hit your limits, right? So basically what you do is you can create a new hook. We'll just say that, okay, redeploy websites, and then you want to figure out the branch you want to deploy to. V4 upgrade demo. I'm going to create a hook like that. And then once we have this hook, we can copy this link, this API key, right? And you can go to something like our NAN server for the CoX3 family. If you have access to that, that's something that we provide for our patrons. You can get access to your own kind of automation server, create a new thing. You can do a post call. So you just type webhook. No, not webhook. We want to do a HTTP request. And then now you can do a post call, put the URL here, and then simple as that. Then you hit save. And then this you can already execute, right? And then this hook, you can already schedule it on a recurring basis. Let's say I want to do it on an interval. So every single hour, right? Every 2 hours, every 3 hours, you can make it so that it will send out this HTTP request and it will refresh your page. Simple as that. So actually it's very, very, very cool. If you want to learn more about the automation server, you can check out the live stream we have about this, or you can just join a community and we will give you access to this for free. This is something we maintain on behalf of the community so that you can also use it for yourself and have the automation tools that you need. So simple as that. We've talked through everything now, I believe. We have the production environment as well. It looks like it's already up, so let's go ahead and see. Gatsby version 2 to version 4, it's live and everything works, and it loads directly from Notion for your blogs. Simple as that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys learned something new. I will have a follow-up blog coming on this really soon, so definitely stay tuned for that if you want all the code snippets that I've used. Aside from that, hope you enjoy, take care, and have a good rest of your weekend. Bye now.